All right, another quick off-season video. I'll go ahead and go over all the changes to the team. So you saw MBT. I did that video and how they changed. Their GM grade went down. However, they maintained their championship team, and I project they'll have $9 million in the bank after next year. London, who had a brilliant debut under new ownership, moving the Mason machine, selling and moving the Mason machine to London, they went 5-1. However, their defense went down, and their GM went down, but they maintained their head coach, and they maintained their offense, and I project they'll have $6 million in the bank next year. San Fran, unbelievable. Their head coach actually retired. So anyway, MBT, to explain some things. Quarterback Arrington lost his star and retired. They drafted QB Jones, who is projected backup spot starter, so not good. The championship, they maintained this brilliant defense, but they really got worse at quarterback narratively. The grade didn't change, so it is definitely a narrative change. All right, head coach. San Fran saw their head coach, Vince Diassi, in only his second year. He was a rookie coach last year. He resigns. So Vince Diassi maybe got a better deal with a college, or maybe got a better deal in another pro league or whatever. But Vince Diassi says, thanks, but no thanks. I don't want to do this anymore. So we roll with San Fran's GM, and he gets a college-level B-rated head coach. So their head coach actually improved. His name is Rome Tyson, and they actually went from a C to a B. So Vince Diassi resigning. So what that means is when I rolled the offseason check, it said head coach change. So then when I rolled under the manager, the GM, we got a better coach. So a college level, B level coach. So that's he's B level in our league, but he would be considered a college level coach. That would be what the pundits would be talking about. Rome Tyson is a college level coach, but he's B. So a good college coach. So they actually went up in coach. That means they're often, and then I rolled, once you get a new coach, you have to re-roll both. So losing a coach actually forces you to re-roll the coach, and then it forces you to re-roll offense and defense. So it can be an epic change to your franchise when you lose a coach. So they lose a coach, he improves, but we maintain the C grade. So I did re-roll these, but they're the same. So they improved, and then the GM, I hit it at 6. Their GM for next offseason is fantastic. So their GM is going to be really solid working this offseason. Their head coach is improved as a rookie, Rome Tyson, and their offense and defense remain the same. I project they're going to have $21 million in the bank. And at some point, San Fran's going to have to start spending this money. They've got to start spending this money. All right, Plattsburgh was 3-3. They saw no changes. I rolled no change at all, which is remarkable. So their BAC, this team was already solid. That C defense would bite them in the ass at times. But this is a club that should be winning at 3-3, and they are. They won the Commissioner's Cup, which gave them an even record. Then you roll their GM grade, and their GM actually went up to an A. So we had lots of GM movement. MBT's GM quality went down. London's GM quality went down. San Francisco's quality went up. Plattsburgh's quality went up. So a lot of GM change here. Not a lot of team changes. 2 teams had no change at all, which is sweet. And I project Plattsburgh will have $16 million in the bank after next year. The Columbia Coolers, 3-4. They were 3-3. They were 2-3 going into the playoffs. They won, made them 3-3. But then losing that championship gives them a losing record. They have an AD coach. I rolled on their GM chart, and what changed was their defense. So I was forced then to roll that defense over with a D. The head coach prefers offense. So again, I had to roll that over. I rolled a C, which they already had. So they basically moved as a lateral move. And then I decided I got to narratively explain that. So I made a roll for their star linebacker. And Traber lost his star, and then he retired. So that lateral movement. But then I rolled a star linebacker drafted. So it's literally a lateral move. They lose a superstar linebacker, retires young. But then I rolled a star replacement and I literally did roll this. If I had just rolled up a linebacker, wasn't a star, so be it. It would have been a lateral movement. He's just good. He's just not a superstar. But I happen to roll a star. So they lose a star and then immediately draft a star. So it's a lateral move for their defense. I project they're going to have $20 million in the bank next year. And I would suspect that if this coach doesn't get a big winning record or doesn't win a championship, this coach who prefers offense, fine. I mean, they're maintaining A's and B's, but this D, let's face it, there was the year they went 2-4, they were a D defense, and it killed them. Last year they were up to a C, and they managed to make it to the championship. So I would think that this would be Del Branham's. I would think Del Branham would say to Armin Ruiz, "You either get it done this year, Cowboy, or you're going to get replaced." And they'll have plenty of money to make changes. Dayton had a horrible year. They fired a coach after 0-2. He immediately won, giving a false hope, and then they did not win again. Dayton went 1-5 following their 4-3 championship season, but they lost head coach and GM Bill Cowher retired. They lost their superstar Hall of Fame quarterback who retired. What was good is in my GM role, their offense changed and their offense actually went up. So they are a B, and their offense went up. They're a B. They were a C. So last year they were a CC. This year they're going to be a BC. However, then you roll their GM, Tim Jackson, who was a B last year. He actually went down under John Turnbull. So maybe John Turnbull, lost some scouts and didn't do a good job of play. Whatever. The owner, this is reflected in how much energy or how much of the staff is going to be working in this next. So unfortunately, the Dayton GM went down a grade. However, their head coach is solid. Their new head coach, Phil Barnhart. Their offense actually went up under Phil Barnhart in the offseason. The defense remains itself. And then I have to tell you how much money, which I obviously had forgotten to write down. So at the end of last year, Dayton had $15 million with +2 small stadium. I'm going to project they're going to come away with at least $2 million in revenue more. So they're going to have $17 million at the end. And that's not counting the $1 million they have to pay to play this year. So all of this money will all go down $1 million for all the teams before we start playing to start the 2045 season, which will be the 26th season in our history. So the off season was kind of interesting. You can see the difference. Last season was huge. Oh, by the way, I made the roll to see if we expanded the league, and I made the roll to see if we expanded the schedule. So no, there's no expansion teams, and no, we're not going to change the schedule. So the owners are pretty conservative here. They've already seen one team we've already seen one team sold in bankruptcy to London. Thank God London turned it around. London had zero money, and because they were winners, they ended up making $3 million. But London could have well found themselves also struggling and losing money. But last year was a big off season. Bill Cowher retired. The quarterback retired. They got a new GM. Mason Machine was purchased by Heath Kensington, a legacy money owner. London, then I had to create their new coach and everything. And then I had to translate. So there's a little more information here from last offseason. This offseason, although GMs changed dramatically, we only had 3 teams really change. So it's going to be fascinating. The big change, Arrington retires as star quarterback for the MBT after winning the championship, retires. Vince DiOssi, only after his rookie year, calls it quits. However, it's actually going to benefit San Fran as they found a better coach. The star linebacker, Traber, one of the few defensive players in our league's history to actually win the league MVP only 3 years ago, retired going into his 5th year. But they drafted a star rookie, Cole Barnwell, to replace him, so it's a lateral shift, really. And then Dayton drafted a #1 QB. That was so when that offense changed, I have to decide, well, what would that look like? And then I rolled to see what kind of quarterback they get. I actually rolled a 6. Dayton drafted a star quarterback #1, Carson Wallace. So that's the narrative. If I had just rolled to replace remember, they had a rookie quarterback who was stinking up the joint. We benched him for the backup who did a little better. But Dayton needs a quarterback. And so I made the roll. If I had rolled a bad quarterback, so be it. He wouldn't have a star, but I didn't name him. But I happened to roll a star. So again, the narrative is that they did draft the #1 quarterback on the board and landed him, and that accounts for why that grade went up. So that's how I do the off season, right? I try to make sense. This is going to change based on the management. Based on the off season role, and then you just got to decide narratively what that might look like. And if you have rosters and things, then it's fun to move stuff around. Thanks for watching. Good day.